Okay, so talking about portion control, particularly in kind of the context of weight management, I suppose, or conscientious, responsible feeding for both ourselves and, particularly for the pets that we love and care for dogs in particular. I think one thing I always start with is kind of a consideration of calories. I don't know if you do the same.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's something to be said about how much we think we should be eating versus how much we actually only need. And not only in regards to humans, but also in regards to our pets. Because I know personally, when I make a meal at home, often the plate that I'm using will dictate how much I eat, even if that's not what I actually need. Is that the same with dogs?
Yeah, it is a matter of plate and vessel that we use, i.e. kind of, how much kibble we put in that bowl. We quite often do feed the bowl rather than the animal in front of us.
Yes.
They will always have eyes that are bigger than their stomachs.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. And I think the extra stretch for us as pet owners is that we all love our animals through food.
Well, it's interesting. I think when it comes to humans and pets, a lot of it comes down to habit. So what happens is, as humans, we're very routine. So we get into the habit of using the same plate, cooking similar meals each night, and serving up similar sized portions without ever thinking, do I need this level of food? Now for me, food is energy. All right, energy in the form of calories, whether we call them calories or not. A plate of food is energy. And whether it's food for us as energy or food for our dogs, we need to be mindful that the food that we are eating and plating up is the adequate amount of energy for us to function, live optimally, be happy, healthy and active, but not so much that we store excess body fat. Now, a lot of humans experience this, but also, scarily, so many dogs experience this. And I think if we can break the habit, if it starts with education and we can understand, all right, wow, let's have a look at what my meal should actually look like overnight and what should my pet's meal look like, then starting that new habit is where it's going to begin. Because I tell you what, when I moved Chia onto Black Hawk, one thing that really shocked me was the fact that I was feeding her so much less. I loved when you said that I was feeding her bowl, because I've got this giant bowl, and my instinct is to make sure that she has a big hearty meal after the day. So I fill that bowl up.
See her enjoying it.
Exactly, and I see how happy she is, and she sort of tricks me and acts hungry after her initial meal. So I'm thinking, make sure she's full. And then following the guidelines on the packet, I was like, wow. I almost, at first, I'll be honest, I felt a level of guilt. I thought, oh my goodness, Chia must be starving. But the best thing is that Chia no longer tricked me into wanting more food. So as soon as I transitioned her to Black Hawk, the small amount which shocked me was actually so good for her that she left her bowl alone and went inside and laid down, which to me is a sign that she's satiated.
Yeah. So you can love her in different ways. You know, instead of feeding something like this, which
looks familiar from the past.
Coming back to something which is a little bit more. I mean, so this is a ration for a 15 kilogram dog. And it's quite easy for us to come straight across here, and particularly when their body weight is so much lighter than ours, so much less than ours. Just these couple of kibbles difference, does lead through to that epidemic of obesity that we do see in dogs and cats.
It's funny you do that with the dog food, because what I thought I'd show you is a little bit of human food here. So I've created a deconstructed salmon salad. So I've got alfalfa, carrot, we've got some beautiful salmon, sweet potatoes, some greens, all ingredients that reflect what's in Black Hawk, but in human form. Okay. Now, what's interesting here is that most people would be familiar with filling their plate to the rim and filling it with abundance, even though this is all healthy food. But even if a food is healthy, it doesn't necessarily mean we need that much, because one word I love to use is nutrient density. And usually healthy food, healthy fats, well-sourced sustainable proteins, they're really nutrient dense. So what I like to tell people is try to change that ration. You've got something that you're familiar with here, move to something smaller and wait for half an hour, because I guarantee you are going to really feel full and satiated. It's a massive change.
Yeah, that's when your satiety center does kick in. And dogs, they consume their meal over 1 to 5 minutes. nowadays. Unlike, one might say kind of ancestrally, they would have hunted. There would have been a lot of environmental stimulation. There would have been quite a hell of a load of exercise associated with gaining a foodstuff. Whereas now, once again, with this kibble just being thrown in front of our faces, we're just eliminating all of that environmental stimulation as well. So it does nothing at all for portion control or weight management as a general kind of, once again, epidemic which we're facing.
I think what really challenged me initially when transitioning Chia to Black Hawk was making sure that I felt like I was still looking after her and sort of treating her. And for me, I'd built up food and treats to be around that reward centre, and I had viewed her breakfast and dinner as, you've been a good girl today, well done on that walk, or well done sitting and waiting for your food, that I would reward her with food, not understanding that there's no reward in overfeeding a pet. Because what do I want? I want a pet to live long, happy, healthy, and feel fantastic and look amazing and live her best life.
So this is the better currency. In fact, we are treating our animals by feeding them less or more nutrient dense foods.
Definitely. And I love seeing her look great. I think there's a reward in that too. When I see her stride along the beach with energy and bounding, I think that's a happy animal, that's a healthy pet, and I'm doing the right thing.
And coming back, I suppose, once again to the feeding guideline concept, we're really lucky to obviously have that in dog and cat nutrition, but there's quite a bit of science, or at least calculation, that goes into that, knowing once again that each dog, each cat has its own unique nutrient, or at least calorie requirement. And then taking a step back, looking at the nutrient density or the caloric density of each one of these foods, that's a known quality, and creating those feeding guidelines. Do you wish sometimes that happened in human nutrition?
Mate, absolutely. I think one thing that it often reminds me of is when, as humans, we're faced with a treat or an abundance of a delicious, maybe not so healthy food, we don't have an off switch. We devour that, we feast on it, and we binge on it. Now, it's interesting, a dog is not going to stop when it's full.
No.
So we need to understand it doesn't have that off switch like we sometimes
resource,
don't.
And they're going to take advantage of it.
So we need to be educated and in the driver's seat, so that not only, I guess, as humans, we choose the right meal portion, but we treat and respect our animals to give them the right portion as well.
There's also something to be said for genetics as well. That off switch can also be genetically programmed, and with such diversity amongst the canine species, we see it. The typical Labrador with the eyes bigger than its stomach.
Yes.
They're the ones that are kind of tipping the scales.